We're back here on the Hunter Call the Wild. Today we're going to be talking about how need zones work in every aspect of the game. In this video, I will be covering everything that you see on the screen here. So even if you're a brand new hunter or a seasoned pro, today's video has something for everyone. Now, I would love to learn a little bit about each of you, so let me know in the comments where you're from, and let's dive right into it. So a need zone is a specific location where a specific species goes to either feed, drink, or rest. Those are mainly the three different types of zones in the game, with the exception of one species, and that is the beaver that has a gathering zone. But every species in the game rests and feeds. Most animals drink, but not all. Basically, what need zones do is they allow animals to have a particular schedule. So if you actually go into the Discord to our info sheets. So if you simply just go into my Discord, and I will leave the link on the screen and in the description below. And then if you go to the references cotw section and go to the species info channel. Now in here, we have an info sheet for every map in the game. Now, when you go in here to the Layton info sheet, it gives you the zone times for every species on the map. So for example, for black-tailed deer, they drink from 16 to 20. Those are their feed times and those are their rest times. So you know what they're going to be doing at any time during the day. So for example, here I have a drink zone for black bear. So it shows there whenever you highlight any of the need zones, it will show you the attached information in the bottom right-hand corner. So this is a drink zone for black bear, and it is from 4 till 8 o'clock. So basically what that means is bears will come into this zone at some point between 4 and 8. It doesn't mean they're going to be here right at 4 o'clock. They likely are not going to be there right at 4 o'clock. But usually by halfway through the zone time, they should show up at their zones. Not always, but should is a fair word. And then they tend to leave at about 15 minutes before the end of their zone time. Now, when an animal comes into their zone, they're not going to be right in the middle of the zone. They can be within 50 meters of the zone in any direction. And once you find an animal in a zone, it will always be in that zone until you shoot it, someone else shoots it, or the only other way that that animal will not be in that zone is if there is an update from EW that resets that species, and that almost never happens. It happens very infrequently. So if I were to discover, say, a 9 legendary black bear in this zone and didn't shoot it, as long as bears were not reset by EW, I could literally come back in a year and that 9 legendary bear will still be in this zone. So I will know where to find them. So basically, whatever animals are attached to this zone will be in this zone every day at some point between 4 and 8. Now, how do you discover need zones? Now, basically, when I'm looking for zones, what I will do is run around the map and spot into the distance. There was a blacktail in here. There it is! Okay, so you heard that ding. So that was the need zone attaching to the map when I spotted this blacktail. So it gave us a feed zone, and so this blacktail will be in this zone at some point between 4 and 8. That is the feed zone time for blacktail. So that blacktail will be here or within 50 meters of this zone every day between 4 and 8. Now, that's not the only way to discover a need zone. Now, this zone in particular is a solo zone. That just means it has only one animal in the zone. You can have herd zones, and you can have zones that have multiple herds attached to that one zone. So I'm spooking that blacktail out on purpose. So the other way to discover need zones is to pick up tracks. And if those tracks are close to the zone, that will often discover the zone. And the other thing you can do is pick up the need zone indicator. I don't think he has a need zone indicator. All right, we're gonna find a need zone indicator so that I can show you what it looks like. Now, usually they do have a need zone indicator, but sometimes they don't, and this one does not, of course. Okay, this is a need zone indicator for a drink zone. So by picking up the need zone indicator, that gave me the drink zone for this black bear. So picking up the need zone indicator will give you the zone, and if I had not picked up the need zone indicator, just running by and picking up this track would probably have given me that zone as well. So spotting the animal, picking up tracks, or picking up the need zone indicator are 3 different ways that you can discover need zones. So I just discovered this need zone. Will this need zone always be here? Now, the answer to that is not necessarily. You can definitely delete need zones, and here is how. Whenever you shoot 3 animals from any zone, the zone will still be intact. But when you shoot that 4th kill from a need zone, that will delete the zone. And whenever you delete a zone, it is going to reappear somewhere else on the map. Now, lately they have been coming back close by, but there's no guarantee that the zone is going to be close by. But it will go somewhere else, and you will have to rediscover it. And it will have the same population in that zone as it did when you blew the zone out, when you deleted it. Now, you can actually shoot 15 animals from a zone safely when you are hunting from any hunting structure. You actually have to kill 16 animals from a hunting structure or more in order to delete the zone. So whenever you shoot from any hunting structure, basically your zones are safe because no one is going to be shooting more than 15 animals from any particular zone. That is a lot. Now, when I'm referring to hunting structures, what I'm referring to is either tripods, tree stands, hunting blinds. Even the hunting structures that come on the map, like this one right here, will give you reduced hunting pressure. So whenever you're doing a grind, I do highly recommend that you hunt from either a tripod, tree stand, or a blind so that you can protect your zones. Now, there are rules associated with need zones that are very important to know in order to have a smooth hunt or grind. Now, first and foremost, whenever you shoot a zone down to 1 animal, that zone will never get respawns ever again. Essentially what that does is breaks the zone. So if you do have a need zone that only has 1 animal in it in the first place, that would be a solo zone. Whenever you shoot that solo animal, the zone is going to delete and it is going to show up on the map somewhere else. The other thing that is important to know is anytime you shoot every animal out of the zone, say I had 3 whitetail in this zone and I shot all 3 of them, then that zone would delete and show up somewhere else on the map. Now, zones can have multiple herds sharing a drink zone. So in this zone, I could have a herd of 5 and another herd of 3 or however many. You could also have a solo zone sharing the drink zone with a herd zone. So that is why it is really important to go over and check the need zone indicator to see exactly how many animals are in that zone when you are setting up for a grind so that you do know what you're dealing with. Because if I were to have a zone of 5 and a zone of 2, and I shot the 2 animals that were in the zone of 2, they are not going to respawn here. They're going to respawn somewhere else because I shot every animal in the zone. Basically, I shot every animal in the need zone indicator. That is basically how it's measured. Now, not every animal in the game drinks, so here are the species that will not have a drink zone. So every winged species in the game does not drink. So that includes ducks, geese, upland birds, and turkeys. Rabbits and hares do not drink. And then these are the species that do not drink: chamois, Himalayan tar, side-striped jackal, springbok, mountain goat, saltwater crocs, alligators, snow leopards, and beavers. They have a gathering zone instead of a drink zone. And every other species drinks in the game. Now, what is the easiest need zone to hunt? And the answer is drink zones. And the reason that it is easiest to hunt drink zones is because they're way easier to find than feed zones or rest zones. Feed and rest zones can literally be anywhere on the map, but with drink zones, go to water and you're likely to find a drink zone. That is why most people, when hunting for diamonds, will look for the closest drink zone because they're just way easier to find. So for example, if I were looking for my very first diamond whitetail here in a ski ridge, what I would do is first and foremost, change the time to whitetail drink time. Now, whitetail drink from 8 until 12 here in a ski ridge. So I would actually set it to be about halfway through the drink time. So let's go do that. Okay, so it is just after 10. And basically what I would then do is open up a whitetail hotspot map from my Discord. So to do that, jump into my Discord. And this time we're going to go to Ladies Hotspot Maps. So in here, there is a channel for every map in the game. So say I wanted to find a whitetail map for a ski ridge. We're going to click down here on a ski ridge, and Just scroll through until you find Whitetail, and that is everywhere where Whitetail can drink on this map. So then what you want to do is you want to run the map spotting into the distance and discover every single drink zone. And while you are doing that, you want to be spotting absolutely every single Whitetail in every single zone, looking for either a level 3 or a level 2 that is diamond potential, like this one right here. Diamond for Whitetail is 255.09. So whenever that number falls within the estimate, that could be a diamond. So this Whitetail is 233 to 274. 255 falls within the estimate, so this definitely could be a diamond. Now, if you do that, you still don't find a diamond, then what you could do is either repeat the process on a different map that has Whitetail, or go to an Ski Ridge map in multiplayer and repeat the process. You definitely will end up with the diamond that way, just by hunting their drink zones. And that. Now, while you are out hunting for your diamond Whitetail, whenever you see other animals, spot them as well, because you definitely can run into diamonds of a different species while hunting for your diamond Whitetail. Oh, very close, 252. That is a big one, but not big enough. This guy is about 2.5 points under diamond. He just needed to be a little bit bigger, but you definitely want to be shooting those level 2 diamond potentials. So that is how I hunt for diamonds. I simply just hunt their drink zones. It's really a simple process. Is there a difference between predator zones and non-predator zones? And the answer to that is yes, there actually is. Now, when you're doing a grind for a species like black bear or red fox that is a predator, that means all of your zones are solo zones. And whenever you're doing a grind for a predator, you do not have to find all of your drink zones in order to get consistent respawns. It's literally impossible to find all your drink zones, because as soon as you shoot one of those animals, the zone is going to delete and it is going to reappear somewhere else on the map. And I'm getting attacked by wolves! Oh my gosh! You're bugging me here. I think I just shot him in the face. Anyone else? That's what you get for interrupting. How rude. I actually did get a good shot on the first one, as I was saying. Whenever you are doing a grind for any species that is not a predator, for an antlered species, for species like red deer and whitetail and mule deer, you do have to find all of your drink zones before you start your grind for any species that is not a predator or species that do not drink. And it is smart to know exactly what is on your map. So it's always a good idea regardless, but for predators, you definitely do not have to find all of your zones. Now, here's how you can tell when you have two different herds, sharing a drink zone. So you check the need zone indicator. So this one is for fallow deer, and there are 5 fallow in this herd. But when I go over to this need zone indicator, this one is for 6. So all in all, there will be 11 fallow deer in this drink zone, a herd of 5 and a herd of 6. Need zones are very, very helpful so that you know exactly what is in your zone. Okay, now whenever you find a zone with multiple males in the zone, now this isn't for every species, but it is definitely for most of them, for fallow deer. These are solos sharing a drink zone. Even if I had 5 males in this zone, if I were to shoot one of them, it would not respawn here, because it is technically a solo. And whenever you shoot a solo, the zone would delete, and that solo is going to show up somewhere else on the map. But because there are more males in this zone, the zone will not delete, but that fallow will not respawn into that zone. Yet, when you go and you hunt for Himalayan tar in Te Awaroa, let's actually go hunt some. I will show you. Okay, so we are now on my tar grind, and tar do not drink, so we actually grind feed zones when doing a tar grind. Now, whenever you're doing a grind for a species that does not drink, then you will be grinding feed zones. And again, you do not have to find all of your feed zones in order to get consistent respawns. So that is good news. Now, with tar in particular, you can find zones that are all male zones. And for whatever reason, they are not solo zones. When you find an all male zone for tar, you can shoot 2 of the males and they will respawn there. But for pretty much every other species, when you find all males in a zone, they are solos. I don't know why it's different for tar, but if you do, definitely let me know in the comments. But that is important information. It's important to know that. So there definitely are intricacies as far as all need zones go, but as long as you don't shoot that zone down to one animal, you don't shoot every animal in the zone, your zone should be fine. But that is how tar zones work. But basically, in a nutshell, that is how need zones work. Now, usually when you are looking for feed zones are usually about 400 meters back from their drink zone. If it is a species that drinks, of course. And that is what it looks like for a beaver gathering zone. Now, another thing that is good to know is that when you come back and discover different animals in this zone, you can have multiple different species using a drink zone at different times, and it will list all of them in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. But all of the zone times are listed on those info sheets in my Discord for you guys to easily reference, with the hotspot maps as well. But if you did enjoy the video or learn anything at all, definitely go ahead and splat that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, share the video, and leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to continue learning, I'm going to recommend that you click right here for the guides playlist.